to the Unabomber episode of the Not So Perfect Couples podcast. Just kidding.
If you are only listening to audio, Patty had a creepy hoodie on. He took the hood down. His hair looks good.
Anyway, we wanted to talk about something that kind of affects our relationship all the time.
Kinda, or it does?
Well, it kind of does, because once we move past it, then we realize how dumb it was. But at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time bickering, arguing, or maybe sometimes just going back and forth on what I like to call minutiae, stuff that just doesn't matter. It's not really related to the big picture at all. It's oftentimes about who's right. Other times it's about just little stupid things that we're letting bother us and there's always something underneath it, right?
So do you have any recent examples? I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I'm trying to think of a recent example.
Well, as a man, who's, sometimes men can be shallow. Most of my examples are related around certain times of the month where I feel like you're a little more sensitive than others. And you come at me and then I come back at you because I'm feeling defensive, and it's usually over something stupid almost every time.
So like this has been a particularly bad month for me in that way. Like, I don't know if menopause is starting to creep up on me, but I mean, it's been a rough couple of days for me emotionally, and I don't know, maybe I'm taking that out on you.
No, we're out of the woods on the rough couple of days, I believe.
We are today, but yesterday was a bad one for me. Did we get into the minutiae yesterday?
Yesterday you were a little more emotional. I think there's Sunday and maybe Saturday afternoon, maybe Monday. So today's a Thursday. So it always seems like there's a couple of days there where you're a little bit more aggressive, and
maybe we have to name this the period episode. But sometimes
it's not always. I mean, that's why I said it's a shallow way to describe it, because it's not always centered around your period. I could be feeling stressed. I could be in maybe having a relapse of insecurity or something, and you might point something out, and then I get defensive. And
you could be having menstruation.
Menstruation?
Yeah, that's like
a bunch of fur on your face.
No, that's where you are particularly emotional as well.
I don't think that exists.
Yeah, I think it does.
No, I don't think I've ever started crying because I couldn't get the printer to work in the check format.
That did happen yesterday. I mean, I tried it 30 times and I couldn't get it to work. It did make me cry.
So there's that.
That was a little bit hormonal, I think.
Anyway, so what we wanted to talk about on this is definitely something that infects us. We've seen it infect pretty much every couple that we've ever known. We're pretty big on trying not to drag our drama out in public, but we even have some friends that will just get into these like bicker matches over the dumbest shit. And I just want to grab them both around the neck and go, "Why are you arguing about this? This is so stupid."
And sometimes we catch ourselves arguing. Like, I'd really like it if we had an example, because all we brought up was that I was overly emotional for the last few days and was on my period. But what things have we bickered about?
There was something real recently where you asked me my opinion on something, and I said, I think it's great the way it is, and I don't think we need to nitpick it. And then you came at me hard because you're like, you always wanted you're just lazy. And you started calling me names.
I did.
It was about embracing our imperfection and not overthinking it, which is the position I was coming from. But it ended up coming back at me as being lazy, which, it's a possibility.
You've always said that part of your genius is your laziness.
I do believe that laziness is the mother of all invention. I don't know if somebody else said that, but I know for a fact I've said it. And
you have, and I've watched you use your laziness to come up with brilliant ideas for your businesses, even for ways that you deal with things at home so that it doesn't take you a long time to do the work, to whatever.
So we're rabbit holing a little bit because basically you just said that that's a good thing. but this weekend it wasn't a good thing.
Well, sometimes laziness is not a good thing.
But here's the point, right? I can't remember what the specific thing was. I just know that it involved us arguing. I stopped and I said, Sam, you're really coming at me hard right now. She's like threw 3 fucks in there when she was describing her frustration with me. And I'm like, whoa.
And I said, I'm going on a walk.
Yeah. It
And
involved
I
you
said, I
leaving.
know I'm very aggressive right now and I'm going on a walk.
It involved her leaving the house and going on a walk, coming back, and later apologizing to me for jumping on me a little bit. And
it seemed
and
like
we can't remember what the fuck it was. So it's the minutia. That's what I'm talking about.
So since we can't remember what it was about, that's how you know it wasn't important. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's my point. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then
But we argue about things like the dishes, picking up your clothes that you lay around. Is that also things that you consider to be minutia?
well, after 23 years, you giving me shit about stepping over my socks the second time does seem a little bit. I mean, I picked
Sad
them up
that
the
you
third
can't.
time.
Sad that you can't see the socks still.
I picked them up the third time. I notice stuff sometimes.
Not that often, but I will say that I have read some research recently about differences between the way, and again, they're generalizing and stereotyping, but it is based on scientific research. In this book, it's called A Billion Wicked Thoughts, and it's brilliant. It's these 2 guys that, am I going down another rabbit hole? I am. Anyway, it talks about.
I think the people watching want to know why you're wearing headphones. You listening to music? Are you getting tips from somebody else to telling you what to say?
Should be. I guess I don't. I had him on the last video too. Great. Thank you for telling me that. Now I forgot what I was talking. Oh, so A Billion Wicked Thoughts. It's brilliant. They took all of this internet data about what people were doing when they thought they were in the privacy of their homes, and it has it's almost all about sex. But what's interesting about that book is then they tie that into all this research about human brains and differences between females and males and hormones and the brain function and all this stuff. And what they noticed, or what they have found, is that men's brains tend to be very focused on one thing at a time. And well, it could be your boner. Like, that's a very easy one, right? You don't even have any blood in your brain probably when that's happening. But even other times, like if you are doing a task and I interrupt you and I interrupt that focus, I often am not really interrupting that focus. You're just not listening to me or bothering with what I have to say because you are so focused on what you're doing. Whereas women, we are constantly taking everything in because that was required for us to survive. So, for example, men had to focus very hard in order to bring home the meat or I guess
bringing that meat home. Ew.
But like hunters, you have to eat bacon. Oh yeah, sorry.
I don't think anybody says bring home the meat. At least not outside the bedroom.
I say bring home the meat. Although I do love bacon. But as a hunter, you have to be extremely focused in order to be able to kill the game and bring it home. Whereas women, our survival resides more around being able to look at all the different things that are happening at once, making sure that we're not being attacked by someone larger than us, which could be a male, could be an animal. Also, as gatherers, we are also having to be very observant about many more things than men. At least that's what this thing was talking about.
Yep.
And which I believe is true. So when I look at the house, all the clutter bothers me. I think, oh my God, there's laundry on the floor. There's shit all over the counter.
The way back to
like caveman
Cro-Magnon.
days.
Yeah. So back in that day, I would have been getting my ass chewed for leaving my skins around the cave.
Probably.
Your loincloth has been hanging over the back of that rock for the last week and you haven't picked it up.
Exactly. Although I don't know where you would put it in the caveman days, like at the caveman dresser or
on a rock.
But if it wasn't already on
the dresser,
rock.
That's the problem. They didn't know what a dresser was. Yeah. Anyway.
So women's minds just work a little differently, according
That
to
is a little
this
bit of a rabbit hole
research.
because we were going minutia versus big picture. That was
Well,
supposed to be our theme.
okay, so my point about the minutia big picture is women, and again, we're generalizing, we're stereotyping, but it is based on scientific research. Women are more tuned in to minutia typically than men,
But why do you?
especially in the household.
Oh,
because
okay.
our brains are noticing the minutia more than men.
So you're saying that anytime there's an argument over minutia, it's the woman's fault. I'm down with that.
That is not what I'm saying. What I'm
What?
saying is that women tend to take women's brains are a lot more complicated than men's, much more complex machines.
Are you trying to say that women are smarter than men now?
Yes.
We're going way down a.
And that we are constantly evaluating every situation where men are a lot more focused generally.
Okay. Well, what are we focusing on?
Whatever you're focused on.
Okay.
Could be work, could be play, could be doing nothing, could be watching the game.
I would actually say that in my experience, which is, 52 years to today,
mine's not that much, by the way.
I think most of the men I know, especially entrepreneurs, have more trouble being present. So that would dovetail right into what you're saying, wouldn't it? No? Yeah? Or do you think women have the same problem?
Being present? I think humans have that problem. I think humans have that problem because of the way our minds work in general.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, so we went to a workshop kind of retreat thing with hope we can call him a friend of ours named Philip McKernan and his wife Pauline. It's called Brave Mind.
And they have a bunch of different other workshops that go a little deeper. Ours was just a 2-day thing that he did in Colorado, but they have Brave Soul and Brave Heart also. I think those are done not in the United States. I think he does those in Ireland and actually maybe they do Brave Heart here in the US sometimes.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, the only reason we're bringing that up, it was amazing and you should check it out. Anything Philip does is pretty cool. But
and know that he's a no bullshit kind of guy. He goes straight for the heart.
That's it. The reason we're bringing it up is he gave us an exercise, go 3 years down the road and draw a picture using no words of what your life looks like. And so they encouraged us to sit apart as a couple. So we weren't even sitting on the same side of the room. And we draw these pictures, which are what we like to call the big picture. And we're going to get them out and show them to you for those watching, those listening. I'll explain it when we get them out. But these are our big pictures.
You show yours first. Because we can't show them at the same time, probably.
And it's not really about all of the meaning in this. I just want you to look at the picture. Pictures of a giant heart, smaller heart inside the heart. And then I've got some
people and a whale and some mountains and some trees.
Yeah. Anyway, that's mine.
What's this? What's this bit? Is this a hut?
I think that's sand.
Sand. Oh, yeah.
There's a house on the beach and a cabin in the mountains, and all the people are the people that I want to help along the way.
So, and there's a dolphin, too. I just noticed that. That's a good picture.
That's the worst dolphin ever drawn.
Whatever. At least I could tell what it was. Wait till you see mine. And this is what I drew. It's also a giant heart. And inside the heart is Patty and I and our kids with partners, and everybody's happy. And there's a mountain and a house, which is also by an ocean, because I just put that all together in one picture. And then I have all these little hearts, which are the people I want to help.
Nice.
And then I have our book. And actually, I'd like to write multiple books, so there should be more of those. And then I have my ukulele and my piano, so I'm still doing my music.
Okay, we're the bottom line is that our big pictures are really scarily alike, which is pretty cool.
I thought that when I saw his picture that he copied my picture, because most people didn't have giant hearts as their picture. Actually, we were the only two people that had giant hearts as our Why did you draw a giant heart actually as the
Well, because
thing to put it in?
I want our future to be love centered. So that was kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, and yeah, me too. And heart centered.
Yeah.
As opposed to using my mind for all my decisions. I'm trying to move it down to heart centered decisions instead of, because when my mind makes the decisions, I don't know that they're always the best ones.
So anyway, here we are drawing big pictures in the absolute literal sense. They're aligned and really close. And so the theme of this conversation is to, try to catch yourself when you're arguing
about
getting defensive or attacking somebody over
stupid minutia things, although they are day-to-day things.
Yep. I mean, and sometimes I'll apologize. Sometimes I'll be like, I'm sorry that I walked over that 6 times. I wasn't paying attention. And it's so for me, the hard part is not getting defensive, because all I do is just continue the vicious circle at that point. So if Sam comes at me over some minutia, I get defensive, and then the next thing you know, we're arguing or we're going back and forth. And then, sometimes I'll say something in maybe an insensitive way because I like to joke around a lot, and sometimes I'll be joking and Sam's mood isn't ready to hear that joke. And
yeah, and I can take it personally sometimes, and then we can head south.
And I do this exact same thing, actually. She'll joke with me, and then I'll take it personally and get, defensive. And so, but it's always little stupid shit like that. And we see a lot of our friends do it. We're working harder on not doing it as much, but we're not perfect and we still do it all the time.
Well, and I have to work very hard to not be as critical of myself, of you. And when I do notice things that I'm being critical of, does it really matter if your socks are on the floor? It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Your socks could lay on the floor for a year. And would that really make any bit of difference in our lives? I mean, you might be one pair of socks down and could get kind of gross, but
the only place where it's going to make a difference is where we care what other people think, right? So you're like, we're having friends come over, you have to pick up your socks.
Yeah, and we're kind of don't care that much anymore.
Well, everybody has a basic need for approval, so I think you will always care a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to have people come over, and like we're having the exterminator come today, which makes me kind of sad because I don't really like to kill anything, even bugs, even though I eat meat. So maybe I'm just pretty much a giant hypocrite. We have we have ants and we have some beetles.
Dead.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't have to kill it myself. But we have all these beetles and ants in the house, and we're having an exterminator come because when people walk in your house and they see ants and beetles, there's a lot of judgment, I think, that goes down with that.
Yeah.
Even though I don't mind actually, they're sort of entertaining. Like, I like to watch them crawl around and what are they doing? And, ooh, look, there's one with wings, and here's one that doesn't have wings.
I just want them gone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
back to our theme.
But that's back to approval.
Get yourself a ruler, and this is
me?
No.
Oh.
And we're not talking about measuring stuff. Well, we are actually.
You just said get a ruler. Who needs to get a ruler?
It's a metaphor. Get yourself a ruler.
Oh, okay.
And get it out from time to time and measure the importance of whatever the argument is, whatever the disagreement's about, and always try to look for what's underneath it, because I think half the time we're having an argument, there's always something underneath it for one of us that's probably not allowing us to see how dumb the argument really is. So I call it the minutia ruler. I just made that shit up.
The minutia ruler.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you propose to measure that in the moment? I have a hard time when I'm emotional.
Yeah. Step back.
When I'm emotional, I feel like everything's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
So I guess there's that timeout. And for me, I have to take a timeout.
For me, we have this in the book. This is something I've been working on for a long time, and I still have not perfected and never will. And that is not taking in whatever is going on with Sam personally. So
I do that too. I take whatever's going on with you personally too, and it almost never has anything to do with each other.
So don't own it.
Don't own it.
Right.
Take a timeout if you need to.
Yep.
And then try to determine if socks on the floor really makes any big deal to anybody.
And listen to each other and communicate. Those are always key elements in any. Communicate how you're feeling, right?
Listening. I'm big into listening.
I heard that. So we were talking about men being focused and not paying attention, and sometimes that and not being present. We talked about all that, and that reminds me of.
And people, just people in general.
My dad sends me these funny things on Facebook, and was either got this one the other day where the guy's like, "My wife came up to me and said, 'You didn't hear a word I said, did you?' And I said to her, 'That's a really weird way to start a conversation.'"
I feel like that sometimes. Actually, I think that happened within the last 24 hours where I'd said something and I asked you a question and you're like, "What? Did you try to talk to me?" I'm like, "Yes, I just told you."
We can't do two things at once, though. So if my face is in front of a computer screen, I'm probably
that's your ultra focus. Your ultra focus.
Or yours, your phone. So anyway, see, look, we're fighting about something stupid.
Are we fighting?
No, I'm kidding. Anyway, get your minutia ruler out, measure the importance of what it is, and if you can, for me, I try to look at why am I feeling defensive right now? What's underneath that? Or why am I feeling the way I'm feeling right now? What's underneath that? Because there's always something else in there. That's our takeaway for the day.
Good job keeping us focused on this. On this topic, because I was all over the place.
Yeah.
I love you, baby. I love your focus. And I love your new minutia ruler.
All right. Just don't use it to measure other things. See y'all later.
Don't call your penis minutia, baby.
What?
I love you.
I didn't. That wasn't even me that said that.
Yeah, you just said
Great.
that.
Now I got to re-record this whole thing because you just told everybody I have a small penis.
No, you have a good one. Bye.